Come here, son, nephew, young man. Let me holler at you. A couple of years ago, well, I've always tried to do this, but a couple of years ago, I had to get a lot more serious about understanding what my students experience on a day-to-day basis, understanding why they do what they do, why they think what they think, and how they feel. And I always did try to do some type of survey year after year to get a grasp on these topics, but I actually found that I had to change the survey this year, and I still hadn't gone through the data. The school year's been let me not speak on my current employer like that. Anyhow, school year's been challenging. How about that? Just a lot of changes, a lot of stuff going on at the end of the year. A lot of it's cool. It is what it is. But even the type of questions that you have to ask now to put a pulse or to measure the pulse of the current generation are different. Last night, and this goes with any situation where you're supposed to have experienced men imparting knowledge unto younger men. And us men 35 and over, in my opinion, maybe even 30, whenever you feel like you're at that stage, you need to understand you were that person. You used to listen to music that older folks thought was not good music. You used to make decisions that didn't make sense. You were undisciplined and had to learn. You thought you knew everything. I'm talking about myself too. So every so often, I ask, why do you feel that way? Why do you do that? Problem in America is you get a lot of men. See, we can still learn too. We're still learning too. The day comes you ain't learning as a man. You're not. I would imagine that part of your general purpose as a man is starting to become null and void. There's always something you can learn. If you listen long enough and pay attention, you can learn something in darn near any situation. Last night I got invited to a conference call with men who share the same belief system I do. And I hadn't really just sat down and talked social issues with men older than me in a long time, but I was quickly reminded of why young men don't deal with the modern Bible-believing church. So one man in particular was talking about issues he's having with his wife. And the reality of the situation is this man's in a sexless marriage. And that's not a good sign. I think he was in his 50s or 60s. And he's trying to figure out, man, why won't my wife have sex with me? Well, first of all, I can already tell you based on this conversation. No, well, let me tell you what was said. It was mentioned that, hey, man, I don't know how else to say it, but it was mentioned that, look, that's not normal. And these women be getting it in at that age. She just ain't getting it in with you, Doc. So the other older men were like, that's preposterous. That couldn't happen. Women don't do that. So the guy who was speaking up doubled down. Hey, man, a lot of these women are homosexual. And a lot of these women are cheating. So they had a few men my age in there. And another guy was like, hey, I mean, I'm 35. Another guy's, I'm 40. He was saying he was 35. I'm almost 40. But basically, we all concur. Look, man, sometimes older women, not sometimes, a lot, older women approach us. And sometimes they marry. It happens. So you got this elder telling this man, oh, that's not possible, that's not possible. It must be this, it must be that. And we sitting there telling the guy, hey, man, I don't know if you realize, but the world's a little bit different. Maybe these things were always this way, and now we just seeing it. Or maybe it just got that way. But either way, this is what that's a possibility. You know, you have and I guess I could talk about the church briefly. You know, you have these guys who will tell you, oh, you don't need your Second Amendment rights. What you need all that for? Okay, you don't see the crime going on in the world, man? Well, you just need to depend on God. You don't need to, basically not encouraging men to better themselves. It's like, wait, man. Now, there was the guy who put the study together. I think he must have understood this, because he was trying to explain to all these older guys, listen to what they're telling you. They're telling you what they experience. We're on a conference call. We can't see each other's faces. They don't have any reason to lie. But therein lies the problem. You got men who are supposed to be elders who are failing to learn. If it's your duty to impart knowledge onto younger people, then it's also your duty to keep your knowledge base up to date. And when you get too tired to do that, okay, fine, but don't lead these younger men into fire, and they don't understand what they're walking into, and you walk them into it. And no offense, ladies, there's some good women out there. I'm just giving this particular example. But, you know, if you're a man of God, and the Bible clearly states how you're supposed to be treating each other in marriage, then you got to hold everybody accountable. If due diligence and due benevolence is not being applied, because that's a biblical principle. But again, if people still think we living in 1970 and we in 2023, you can start to understand why some of these young men may be like, look, pops, look, old man, I don't want to hear what you got to say because you don't know what you're talking about. And maybe that's the reason why certain types of students, if you've been watching this channel since last year, maybe that's why certain students gravitate towards me, because I just listen to what they have to say. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But I do know this much. If I'm going to stay relevant dealing with younger people, I'm not going to mislead them. And you can unintentionally mislead people by not knowing what you're talking about. You can not know what you're talking about by thinking that the world doesn't change and thinking that you know everything. That's one thing an elder should understand, the principle of lifelong learning. Anyhow, I'm getting off on a tangent. Young men, if I encourage you, if the elders near you are not current on their information, hey, you can always share the information with them. But if you're in a state where you need guidance, a situation where you need guidance, you find people who have experience in the area that you want, and either A, they have the results that you want, or B, they're smart enough to recognize I didn't get good results from this situation, so my situation is what you call a non-example, and they can admit it too, because sometimes men are just prideful. Don't let a prideful man mislead you into a hard situation, because let me tell you something, when they mislead you into some junk like that, they ain't gonna get you out. They're not gonna help you get out. They were irresponsible enough to get you in it. They darn sure ain't coming to help you get out of it, because they didn't have the solutions to begin with. So vet your mentors carefully. Read, research. The internet is your friend, not just a toy. Hit the like button. Share the content. I guarantee you there are young men who need it. Sorry about the lighting. I guess if I move this way, you can actually see me, huh? My apologies. I'm new to this whole camera thing. If I get back over here, it's going to go dark on me in a second, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, You're welcome to subscribe to the channel. Be a man. Stay a man. And as always, never lose the will to win. Never lose the will to survive.